For today's lesson, you need 4 different colors. Make sure they are not too dark. And 1 calculator. We're going to start our notes on page 18 for one quick vocabulary word. On page 18, find generic rectangle. Generic rectangle is a type of diagram used to visualize multiplying expressions without algebra tiles. A generic rectangle is a type of diagram used to visualize multiplying expressions. Now please turn your notes to page 9. Our essential question today: how can I use a generic rectangle to find the product of multi-digit numbers efficiently? Today we are going to be finding the product. The product is the answer to a multiplication problem. Let's take a look at the first example. The first example, we are multiplying the number 325 by 46. In order to put 325 on a generic rectangle, we are going to have 300 plus 20 plus 5. 325. Remember, whatever we put on the top of a rectangle, just like area, we're going to transfer it to the bottom. 325. For the number 46, in order to put that on a generic rectangle, that is going to be 40 and 6. 40 and 6. And again, if it's on the left side, it is also going to be on the right side. 40 and 6. Please go ahead and find your colors. Take your first color, whatever that color is, and go straight down from 300 to 300. One line will do. Find your second color and go straight down from 20 to 20. Your third color, 5 to 5. Your fourth color, 40 to 40. And I lied, you need a fifth color. Please find a fifth color. And 6 to 6. This will help us identify. Now you're just going to follow your colors or multiply your corners. When we look at this, in this first box, we are going to do the problem 300 times 40. When you pick up your calculator and put in 300 times 40, you are going to receive 12,000. We're going to transfer that value right down to the bottom. Also going to take a moment to write in the fact that we are doing 325 multiplied by 46. For our next one, we're going to move over to 20, and I'm going to follow my yellow and my red. 20 times 40 is going to be my next box because yellow and red intersect. 20 times 40. When I do 20 times 40, I'm going to get 800. 800 is going to go in my next slot. For the next one, I'm going to follow my orange and my red, or my 5 and my 40. I'm going to turn my paper sideways. You should as well. 40 times 5 will give us 200. Looking at my second row, I'm going to follow my purple from my 6 and my green from my 300. 6 times 300. 6 times 300, if you throw it through a calculator, will give you 1,800. Transfer that value down here, 1,800. Now I'm going to follow my yellow from my 20 and my purple from my 6 and do 20 times 6. And 20 times 6 is going to give me 120. And then finally, 5 times 6 will give me 30. I'm going to take all of my sums and add them up, or my products. 12,000, careful adding zeros on your calculator, plus 800, plus 200, plus 1,800, plus 120, plus 30. I received 14,950. Make sure you are practicing using the calculator along with me so that the test is not the first time you're using a calculator. Let's take a look at the next set. Now we're going to change it. This time, instead of solving a generic rectangle, we're going to work backwards and find the missing pieces. First thing we're going to do is transfer our numbers. If we have a 6 up here on the top, we need to transfer it to the bottom. A 30 is going to transfer. I'm going to grab 4 colors. My first color, I'm going to stripe right here. My second color, through my 6s. My third color, through my 30s. And my fourth color, bottom row. As I look at this generic rectangle, what I want to do is find out where I have 2 of the values and find the third value. If I look right here at my 1500, I know that 30 in my orange and whatever the missing purple piece is, 30 times my missing piece had to be 1500. Well, I'm missing a piece of a multiplication problem, and we've worked hard on this skill. If we're missing a piece of a multiplication problem, we need to do its opposite or inverse and divide. In my calculator, I'm going to do 1500 divided by 30 to find my missing piece. 1500, careful with zeros, make sure you have them all on your calculator, divided by 30 gives me 50. So therefore, my purple number is going to be 50. If it's on the top, I'm going to transfer it right away to the bottom. Now with that 50 down at the bottom, I can solve my purple and blue intersection. So I'm going to do I know that 50 times something gives me the 250. In order to find a missing piece of a multiplication problem, again, I'm going to go backwards. And really, I'm going to do 250 divided by the 50 that I know. 250 divided by 50 gives me 5. My missing value for blue is 5. I'm going to transfer that over. Now for this one over here in the corner, I have both of my values, so I don't have to divide this time. I'm just solving. I'm just going to do 6 times 5, my yellow times my blue, which is going to give me 30. And then finally, on the top with my yellow and my orange, I also have both of the values. So I'm going to do 6 times 30. And 6 times 30 is going to give me 180. The 2 values that were multiplied together for this generic rectangle were 56 and 35. 56 multiplied by 35. Let's try another one. Again, grab your 4 colors. I'm going to keep my 4 colors in the exact same place I used them before. Now that I have my 4 colors in, I'm going to transfer. The purple 70 at the top can also be transferred to the bottom. That's the only number I can transfer. Now in order to start this puzzle, I need to find where I have 2 pieces. The only place I have 2 values is down here in the left-hand corner. I know that 70 times something had to give me the 210. I'm going to do the inverse or work backwards. 210 divided by 70 will give me 3. 3 times 70 is 210. My blue 3 I'm going to transfer. Again, now I have 2 pieces, so I can work over here. 3 times something has to give me 15. Well, 3 times 5 is 15. Now that 5 is on my yellow line, I can transfer it up. And the puzzle can continue. Now I have 2 values in my upper right-hand corner. 5 times something has to be 200. Again, we're going to use our inverse. 200 divided by 5 will give me 40. Since I have 40 on my orange line, I can transfer that. And for the final box, I have the 2 outside values. So I can go 70 times 40. 70 times 40 is going to be 2,800. The 2 values that were multiplied together this time were 75 and 43. For the last one, another box has been added. We have a 3-digit number, so therefore this time we're going to need all of our colors. Again, I'm going to go ahead and use my same colors in my same place. You should color code as well. And then I'm going to find my 5th color and add it here. As I'm looking at this, I need to transfer values. My orange 30 from the left side can transfer to the right side, and my red 7 from the top can transfer to the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and find a place where I have 2 of the values. There's a few spots I could start. I'm going to start right down here in the bottom right-hand corner. If I look at this, I know that 7 times something had to give me that 56. So I'm going to do the inverse and work backwards. 56 divided by 7 is going to leave me with 8. My blue 8 from the right side, I can now transfer to the left side and continue working through the puzzle. I'm going to go down here. I know that 8 times something had to give me 1,600. Again, I'm going to work backwards and go 1,600 divided by 8, which will leave me 200. I can transfer my purple 200 to the top. Looking here, just following where I'm working, I have both outside values. So I can have 200 times 30. 200 times 30, if I work with my calculator, is going to be 6,000. If I look in the center here, I have 1,800, and I have one of the outside values, my orange, and I need to find the yellow. So I know that 30 times something gave me that 1,800. So I can have 1,800 divided by 30 and end up with 60 for my yellow. I'm going to transfer that 60 down, and I'm going to make sure that I do this box right now, my yellow and blue. 60 times 8. Now that I have both values, 60 times 8 will give me 480. And then I have one last box, 7 times 30. I have both of my values for my red and my orange. 7 times 30 is going to give me 210. For this problem, we had 267 multiplied by 38. Go ahead and flip to page 10. If we look at the first question, again, comes from the margin. 153 multiplied by 25. If I take a look at 153 on a generic rectangle, that would be 100 plus 50 and 3. 153. If it's on the top of the rectangle, transfer it to the bottom. 153. For 25, 20, and 5. Again, if it's on the left side, it's also on the right side. 20 and 5. I'm going to grab my colors and color straight across. And you should do the same. As I'm looking at the first one, it's going to be 100 green times my red 20. On my calculator, again, be very careful about zeros. 100 times 20 is going to be 2,000. I'm going to make sure to transfer my values right away. We are solving 153 multiplied by 25. 2,000 is our first product. For my second one, I'm going to follow my yellow 50 and my red 20. 50 times 20. 5 times 2 is 10. So 50 times 20 is going to be 1,000. Now I'm going to follow my orange 3 and my red 20 and end up with 60. Looking at the bottom row, purple 5 multiplied by my 100 is going to give me 500. Make sure you're transferring the values as well. My yellow 50 multiplied by my purple 5 is going to give me 250. And then finally, my orange 3 multiplied by my purple 5 is going to give me 15. I'm going to take all of those products and find the sum or add them up. So I'm going to do 2,000. Again, be so careful with zeros on the calculator. Plus 100, plus 60, plus 500, 250, and 15. And I'm going to end up with 2,925. Make sure you ended up with the same value and you are able to use the calculator properly. I have a mistake. I didn't read it carefully. My 1,000, I only transferred it down as 100. So now I need to re-add. 2,000 plus 1,000 plus 60 plus 500 plus 250 plus 15. 3,825 is the correct solution. Again, be careful when you're transferring things, just like I did. You can easily make a mistake. Let's take a look at the bottom very quickly. Again, these are the problems where we're finding the missing value. It's like a puzzle. I'm going to take time, and you should as well, to color code. I'm going to go the same as I did on the front page. Now I'm going to transfer values. The 10 at the top should also transfer to the bottom. My purple 10 and my blue, this plus 2 just is part of your curriculum, just means a 2, don't worry about it. The 2 on the left, I'm going to transfer to the right. I'm going to find places where I have 2 values. I can start down here in the left-hand corner. 2 times 10. 2 times 10 is going to give me 20. The bottom right-hand corner, I have the interior and missing one of the factors, or the outside. I know that 2 times something got me that 4, so I'm going to work backwards and use the inverse. 4 divided by 2 will give me 2. I'm going to transfer the yellow 2 up to the top. Again, now I can work backwards. 2 times something gives me that 40, that's interior or sitting inside. So I can go 40 divided by 2 and figure out that 20 is my missing orange value. I'm going to transfer that 20 over to the left-hand side. I have both exterior pieces, so I can go 20 times 10, and that's going to give me 200. In order to read this generic rectangle, The 10 and the 2 on the top is a 12. And the 20 and 2 on the bottom is a 22. 12 times 22. I'm going to take my interior values or my products, which was 200, 40, 20, and 4. And when I add all those up very carefully, I'm going to end up with 264. Let's take a look at the next one. Again, we're going to transfer values. The 400 at the top that I'm going to go green can transfer to the bottom. Highlight my next column and my final column. Then I'm going to go ahead and highlight my rows. My purple 4 can go from the left to the right, and my orange 5 at the top can also be transferred down. If I'm looking at this, I'm going to start over in the left-hand bottom. 4 times 400, I have both my exterior values or my factors. 4 times 400 is going to give me 1,600. I cannot do anything with the 120 right now. Or actually I can, I know the purple 4. So 4 times something is going to give me 120, so I can work backwards and use the inverse. 120 divided by 4 will give me 30 for my yellow value. So I can transfer that up to the top. Moving along the rest of this row, I have 5 times 4 on the outside, so I can do 5 times 4 and end up with 20. If I move up to my top row, I can work with the yellow first, the yellow and red, because I know 30 times something gives me that 2,400, so I can go backwards with that and do the inverse. 2,400 divided by 30 will leave us with 80. So the red value is going to be the 80. And then to find the rest of the products, 80 times 400 is going to give me 32,000. And on the far right side, 5 times 80 is going to give me 400. For this generic rectangle, 430 and 5 is going to give me 435. 80 and 4 is going to give me 84. I'm going to write down all my products, and this time I'm going to be very careful about my zeros so I don't forget any of them. 32,000 plus 2,400 plus 400 plus 1,600 plus 120, and finally 20. I'm going to very carefully enter this into my calculator. 32,000 plus 2,400 plus 400, 1,600 plus 120 plus 20. I get 36,540. Final one. Again, quickly color code, just the same as I did above. Then I'm going to transfer my values. The 6 from the top can be transferred to the bottom, and the 60 on the left-hand side can be transferred to the right-hand side. I'm going to very quickly solve this one because I have both of my factors, or the outside numbers. Take a moment to make sure you have all of the notes. If you need colors as you work through warm-ups and homework, make sure you use them. Once your notes are complete, you can go ahead and move on to your next task.